It's Angie here with you for the mid-morning show, here with you until 2 o'clock today. Now, maybe you've been looking for a new challenge or having to look for a new job thanks to the pandemic. Well, we're here to help, of course, right here on BBC Radio Norfolk. Every Tuesday, as part of the show, we launch our Big Norfolk Job Hunt. Today we've got something a little bit different. We're going to be finding out about something called the Kickstart Scheme, and that's run by Broadland Council. Here to tell me more right now is Cllr Fran Whymark. Good morning, Fran. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you, Angie. Thank you for having me on the show today.
Good. It's a pleasure to have you on, Fran. Now, I have heard about this scheme. I think I had spoken to maybe yourself a while ago now. It seems a long time ago now, about when it all started. But for somebody who's not familiar, just explain what it is.
Very simply, it's a really good opportunity for young people who are on universal credit, so people 16 to 24. Okay, some of the hardest hit by COVID, really, to get onto the ladder of work. So they can get a placement for sort of 6 months, up to 25 hours a week, which will give them a real sort of opportunity to learn about the world of work. But while they're there, they'll get support for CV writing, interview preparation, and they'll understand the basics of work, which they may not have done before, such as good attendance, timekeeping, teamwork. So, yeah, give them a good foundation for the years ahead.
Now, do you match them up with a position? How does that kind of thing work?
Well, from Broadland's point of view, I mean, we're actually working as what we call a Kickstart gateway. The way the Kickstart scheme works is you need to have 30 or more placements to be a gateway as such, or an individual employer actually could. Say a huge employer like Aviva, for instance, they could take on 30 people themselves directly. But smaller companies who may only want one or two people, can only accommodate one or two people, can come through Broadland District Council or South Norfolk Council. We work together in collaboration and have a placement through ourselves. So, I mean, currently we've got about 40 placements through our gateway, but that's growing all the time. There's 13 of those placements at Broadland District Council and South Norfolk Council. So yeah, lots of different opportunities there. But if they come through us, then we can help place the young people and support them in their placements.
And do you kind of match up the sort of potential employer then with the young person that is looking for that entry into work?
No, I mean, that actually is done by the job centre, really. So the young people would register themselves at the job centre, and the job centre would work with us for those placements. So say someone was looking for something, let's say, for instance, in admin or customer service, or, I mean, grounds maintenance is another area that we work in, or even, say, work in a hotel or leisure centre. So we sort of match people up and help place them together. So say companies come to us, say a hotel wanted one person to work with them, for instance, and, the job centre came through with us, so we'd all work together to match that person to the right placement.
What sort of benefits does this have for businesses in the county, Fran?
It's huge, really. I mean, very simply, it's a huge benefit because that company will get somebody to work with them. They're an additional resource for the business. But as I said before, it's a learning opportunity for the young person. But that placement is actually funded. So the 25 hours a week that the young person works in the business is actually funded by the government. 100% of that is paid, and the national insurance contributions too. So for 6 months, you can take someone on as an additional resource for your company, and it won't cost you anything really, apart from time, really, to help support that person. So that's what it's costing you, and you may end up, ultimately, people come and go in businesses. You may end up with someone you think, actually, this is a really good person. I'd love them to work for my company long term. So it could be a win-win situation for everybody, really.
Yeah, now, when did this start, Fran? Because I remember it's been around for a little while, hasn't it? But when did it actually all start working?
Yeah, well, it started a few months ago, really. But, I mean, it's to say there's 6 months placement. So it runs to the end of this year. So actually a business could have two cohorts of young people. So you could take someone for 6 months now and then take someone for 6 months later on in the year. So, yeah, I mean, we're not sure, obviously, with so many government-funded situations, but it could run beyond the end of this year. So it's been going a few months. It's relatively new. But yeah, we're starting to kick it off. And as I say, from Broadland and South Norfolk's point of view, we really want to help young people. We know how much they've been impacted. So yeah, anything we can help to get them on the ladder and back into work is just fantastic, really.
Now, obviously, it's a massive thing, isn't it, this year for our young people, especially the ones who might have been expecting to take exams. Looking like that might not, happen. A good chance that won't happen. And then we're in a situation where it might be a predicted grade or something. And we saw what happened with that last time around. Are young people, are you hearing, what are they saying to you about how they're feeling, about confidence-wise, even going into this kind of scheme and coming from a situation where they're not doing the traditional exams and doing those traditional assessments?
I must be honest, I've not asked a young person directly this question, but I mean, at Broadland we do work with the Youth Advisory Board for Broadland as well, so we are in contact with young people and we are basically talking to them all the time, but young people are very worried. It's very true. I mean, they are very, very worried. There's a lot of anxiety about what is going to happen, where they can go, what opportunities they'll have. So some young people, who would end up on universal credit, this gives them an opportunity to go into the world of work where they may not have done otherwise, as you say, because they may not get the grades, and we still don't know exactly what's going to happen this year. Obviously, last year there were predicted grades. This year, we're not sure if it's going to be exactly the same again or slightly different. So there is a huge anxiety for young people, huge anxiety, and hopefully this can take some of that away. Nobody wants to be unemployed. I mean, it's not a good place to be. So anything we can do to try to take that anxiety away and help them get on the ladder, I think is a good thing.
Do you have to have any experience in the world of work? So if you've got somebody who is maybe 16 or they're looking to leave school or whatever, they might not have actually done any or much paid work. Are they still okay to go ahead and join the scheme? Do you have to work to sort of build their confidence a little bit?
But they absolutely are the right people to join this scheme. They absolutely are. They're exactly the people that we want to give an opportunity to give them the chance to work in a company which they may have felt they weren't able to do because, as you say, of their grades or whatever. So, yeah, we want these young people who haven't had any experience to get some experience, to get the support that they need to get them into long-term work. Now, whether that be with the company they do a placement with, who knows, that's a possibility, or elsewhere. Or it may just give them a view of work which they've not thought of before. So they might say, I said very earlier on, grounds maintenance. Well, someone may have thought, well, actually, I don't really want to work outside. But after a 6 months placement, they think, do you know what? I don't want to be in an office. I want to be outside, and vice versa. So, I think it's about just opening up young people's minds to the possibilities. So, yeah, absolutely, if they've got no experience, they're the right people for this opportunity.
Now, is there any opportunity for sort of study alongside it, or is that very much sort of what you see with the apprenticeship schemes that have been sort of very successful? And this is just something completely like, no, there's not that extra study. It is just about the work and your experience there. So how does that work?
No, I mean, there's always the opportunity to learn more. I mean, these placements are, say, up to 25 hours. So, a small company may only be able to give someone, let's say, 16 hours a week. So that gives them another 20 hours or more to actually go and do a college course. They could do 1 day a week in college. There's no reason why people couldn't carry on learning. That be whether they're 16 or they're 24. Either end of the spectrum, really. There's always the opportunity to learn more. You could, you may think, well, actually, I've not got my English GCSE, for instance, or my maths GCSE. Well, you could go and get that. You've got the time to do it during that period, which will open more doors for you in the long term. So yeah, learning is always there for everybody. And I say, being up to 25 hours, even at the top of the 25 hours, it still gives you time to learn.
Now, what has the experience been for the businesses and the organisations that have been involved in this scheme? Do they find it beneficial, and has it brought up anything that people have been a bit like, oh, I wasn't really expecting that, but there we go. If you can say, Fran, if you can say.
There's always that. I think, in general terms, I think it's a really good experience. I mean, there's always going to be the one which doesn't work out, and I'm sure we've all worked in places where we've thought, you know what, I can't get on with this person or whatever. That's life.
Yeah, or it might just not be for you. Yeah, for one reason or another.
Absolutely right. It just may not be. For whatever reason you clash with somebody. However, I would say in general terms, most people get a great deal out of it, and that's both sides, not just the young person. I think the businesses do too. They get a different perspective. A young person can often bring a different perspective, something you've not thought about, and you think, actually, do you know what? We could do it this way rather than that way, and it would help us. So actually, I always think young people come with a fresh set of eyes. Us older, jaded people who've been doing the same thing the same way, we actually sort of stop and listen and think, this young person's brought something fresh to our business. So I think there's always a chance for everybody to learn and to gain something from this experience.
Yeah, exactly. Now, you mentioned the way that someone would get involved if they wanted to be a part of the scheme. Are you looking for businesses at this point to come on board as well?
Absolutely, yeah. We've got a number of businesses already signed up through our gateway, but we're open to more. If a business wants to take a placement, they can ring us on 01508 533 933 and just ask to speak to someone about the Kickstart Gateway, or they can go to our website, either Broad District Council or South Norfolk Council's website. And if you just search for Kickstart, there's a lot more information on there. There's a link for an online application, so you can fill in your online application there, or just have a chat with somebody, really. Obviously, if you're a bigger company, as I said, there's a link on our website too, so that you could sign up yourself as a gateway. So if you wanted to take 30 or more on. So all those links are on our website. So they're both on the Broad District Council and South Norfolk Council websites. Or to say, if you want to give us a ring, 01508 533 933. Yeah, we're there. We want to talk to you, and we're happy to help you find the right person to help support your company over what has been quite a difficult period and will be in the future, I'm sure. But it's an additional resource for your business.
Absolutely.
So come and talk to us.
Yeah, absolutely, indeed, and it's a different way into the world of work, isn't it? So, and to do that with a bit of support, especially when you are maybe it's for ages between 16 and 24, isn't it? But I think you can always use a bit of support when you first start out at work, can't you? A bit of
I think so.
Somebody to give it, be a bit of a sounding board. Is this right? Is this right? How would you do this?
Yeah, and if you're a young person who's listening now, you someone at the job centre. You've got, I think they're called work coaches at the job centre. Speak to your work coach, and they can link you up with us as a gateway for a potential placement. So that's the route for young people, and there's more information on the .gov.uk website for young people. But probably the best and easiest thing for them to do is speak to their work coach at the job centre.